Good morning, everybody, on My Time TV. Sandra Meehan here for Conscious Chats with Sandra. And I had a guest this morning. Hopefully she will be able to get on, Julianna Jay, the beautiful soul, what does she call herself? A soul guide, a spiritual growth educator, and a master Akashic records reader. So we're just hoping that Julianna can get on the show. She's got some tech problems, and I've decided to go live to meet my commitment here at 10 o'clock. So we'll just go with it. We'll just run with it. And well, I was going to talk to Julianna about owning your soul story and nurturing your true nature, making every moment matter. That's what we were going to chat about. If we can't connect with her today, I'm sure we'll be able to do it another day. But for those of you that don't know me, I am Sandra Meehan, and I love having conscious conversations with people, and My Time TV is an awesome place to have it. It's a great platform to be able to do this. So while I'm waiting to see if Julianna can come up or can come on, I'm going to just chat with you for a little while about current things that are happening on the planet. And there's a lot going on our planet at the moment, so much. But so I thought it was a great opportunity to have a conscious conversation as to where are you sitting, what is actually happening to you. And remember, life is happening for you, not to you. And before we go any further, for those of you that are sitting in fear, we've got a giveaway, and we've been giving this card away for the last couple of weeks. It's one of our beautiful codes of light that we use. It's an A4 image, a PDF, and we're giving it away for free to anyone that wants to pop over to the Powerful You, send us a message, and we'll upload the PDF for you to download. So this here is our beautiful fear code, and I'll just put just let me go into Facebook, and I'll continue to keep talking to you while I'm doing this. We are giving this away. It's a free gift for us. It's something that Rebecca and I downloaded. We downloaded the codes and that last year, and it's really important at this time that we're in, as I try and get back to wherever I'm supposed to be. It's this new layout of Facebook. It is time for all of us to come out of our fear and come into our heart and open our minds to something that's better, open our mind and our heart together so we can balance the energies of what's currently happening to us. So if you would like a copy, pop over here. I'm going to drop this down into the chat for you, anyone that wants it, and paste it in there. Send us a message over there on the Powerful You, and you will be able to get a copy of it. So we've got 2 in stream. That's this one here. I haven't seen Julianna come in just yet, so I will continue to talk to you. So what's happening on the planet? What's going on? How are you feeling? And how are you traveling? These are the questions that so many people are asking people, and we are going through difficult times. But what I say to people is this: if you really want to know what's going on, come into your heart, do your research, truly do your research. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of good stuff, there's a lot of bad stuff, and it's up to the individual to decide to research. So we can't rely on others. At this time, it's up to us to take responsibility for what's happening to us. It's up to us to stand up for our own beliefs, and it's up to us to voice our concerns, to stand up against what we believe is wrong, and stand up for what we believe is right. So it's really it's exciting times, and I'm truly excited about where we're heading, what we're going into, and the new world. And so much is going on. So much is going on. So we like to think that this channel is a voice for you to ask different questions and things like that. So if you've got any questions, pop them down and I'll come back and I'll answer them. As I said, we're all here in this most exciting time on the planet. And I know many people don't believe it is an exciting time, but it is, because change is happening. Positive change is happening, and more positive change can happen if we believe in it. So our outer world is created by our inner thoughts, and our inner thoughts are what keeps us locked into that fear if we're playing into the fear. And when we open our mind and we open our heart to hear and receive other information, it educates us. It allows us to make conscious choices, which is right for us. And it's so much happening. And, you know, we often give our power away to others. We've given it away to governments. We've given it away to schools. We've given it away to doctors, to all these things. We just go in there and we say, yep, okay, we believe that they know what's best for us. We believe and we see what's happening on mainstream news. Because slowly over time, we've been hypnotized to believe if it's not on mainstream news, then it's not true. If the government says this is true, that's true. If the doctors tell us it's good for us, then it must be good for us. We have put people in high positions and made them gods. We have given our power away to them. And it's time as individuals to take our power back and do what is right for us. And it's really important that you out there know that. So Rebecca and I are really passionate about creating change on this planet. And you'll know my beautiful daughter, she does her own show. She'll be here tomorrow. She does all the light language messages. And it's important for her to share her message out through the universe and know that you're getting some help through this. And it's important for everybody not to have a go at everybody, if that makes sense. That was a bit of a double Dutch there. So, you know, just because somebody doesn't have your beliefs doesn't mean that they are stupid or anything like that. It just means that they're entitled to think the way that they are, the way that they do, just as you are entitled to believe in what you believe in. And at some point when those beliefs are changed or something is shown or they're given something and all of a sudden they go, maybe, just maybe, that's what people are saying could be right. Don't belittle them. Don't tell them I told you so. Step into who you are. Step into that God-given heart space and just acknowledge, you know, I've got big beliefs around what's happening, and you know, I'm very vocal on my social media pages about what's going on, but I won't belittle anybody that doesn't have the same beliefs as me. I'll just educate. We just educate people. And, you know, there's conspiracy theories, there's truth seekers and all of that. But what I've done is I've done my own research. And when you do research and you know that it's correct, then it is truth. So if somebody says something to you and you think it's a load of crap, take a moment to go, maybe. Where did they find that? Do your research. You know, many people say to me, Sandra, but it's not on mainstream news. So I don't believe you. But they're not prepared to do their own research. They only want to be fed what is on the news. So I don't know who this is, but we've got somebody ready to join us coming in. I think it's Julianna Jay. How are you, Julianna? Where? Oh, I'm just looking for you. You've worked it out. Well done. So just before I'm going to bring you up, can we just drop your Yep, that's better. Just so your head's just.
I'm lucky to have a head. It's technology, and I'm an old Atlantean soul here, so we're doing okay. We're live.
We are, and that's why I just went live, because I thought if you're meant to come in, you'll come in, and that's the way we go. So I was just having a bit of waffle before we start. So for all of those this is welcome to Julianna Jay, and Julianna Jay is a soul guide, author, spiritual growth educator, and master Akashic records reader. Julianna Jay lives life to the fullest and shares wisdom gleaned from the upstairs crew. We all know what the upstairs crew is here on My Time TV, our upstairs crew up there. So, and as a regular guest on international Tele-Summits, podcast and radio show, Julianna supports you in identifying your soul story and removing limiting beliefs to nurture your true nature and uncovering what you came here for. So we're in for a ripper of a show. Through her soul mentoring and healing sessions, online masterclasses, and daily media posts, Julianna walks the walk with you, lighting the way to your true destiny. Embracing you at a soul level. Now, this is really important, and I think I'm just going to stop here because so many people can't get past the personality. And it's when we embrace people at the soul level, we actually are embracing the true identity of who they are, because the personality is just a suit, and the things that they have come here to learn or unlearn or do whatever they need to do. Everyone's got a personality, but when we meet people at the soul level, we're actually meeting the true, authentic them. That's my belief anyway. Now I've lost my space. Empowering you to evolve and inspiring you to leave your legacy of love on the earth. Oh my God, what a wonderful, beautiful way to start our funny little start to the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you very much.
Just in case you haven't realised, Julianna is over in Ireland. Correct?
That's correct. Yes, I'm just the other side of the pond, Sandra.
Just the other side of the pond. We'll just throw a dart. And I bet those little leprechauns must have been in the technology this morning.
Well, it's definitely fairies.
Fairies?
Lots of elementals, yes. We're blessed in Ireland with leprechauns, fairies, and a lot of elemental, beautiful soul energy. So, yes.
So I love the way you think. You came in on your daughter's page.
Yes, I came in on my daughter's page, yes. So this was what happens when you get to a certain stage in your life, and you got a call on your daughters, and where would we be without them? It's 1 o'clock. It's 1:30 nearly in Ireland at night time. So I think it's a testament to her love for me that she got back up out of bed when it wasn't working.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask you one question that I normally like to ask my guests, a question that's totally not related to what we're going to talk about. And if you had anywhere in the world to go for a holiday, where would you go and why?
Okay, well, I would go to Malta. This is very, very simple for me. I would go to Malta. My intention was to live in Malta for a month this year. I went on a cruise in February, just before it all went haywire. And when I walked, when the cruise liner docked in Malta, something happened to my solar plexus. And it was like I couldn't get off the gangway fast enough. And as I walked along the streets of Malta, it was like something clicked between my solar plexus and my sacral that had never clicked before. And there was a sense of wholeness and peace and belonging that I know I need to go and explore. So next stop, Malta.
Well, hopefully that will be really soon. It'll be next year, I'm sure. Sometime next year, we'll all be allowed to travel overseas, let alone here in Australia, interstate. So we can't travel very far here in Australia at the moment, but except within. Oh, well, I live in Queensland, so I can travel all within my state. Can't go outside of the state. So but that's just the way the world is, and there's all this craziness at the moment. So let's get into our little conversation that we're going to have. And what is the soul, and how do I connect with my soul?
It's a beautiful question. Thank you, Sandra. And a lovely, complicated one. But I'm going to try and simplify it to the best of my ability. I have been a soul mentor with people for a long, long time. So the soul is something I have begun to respect for the last decade at a very, very deep level. And the soul is the essence of, I'm going to speak as you for a moment, okay? So it's your essence, Sandra. It's who you truly are. Like you said, when it's all stripped back, it's the blueprint we came in with. It's which way anyone turns us inside out or upside down, it will be the true nature of us, regardless of the circumstances that have happened. Because the soul is a complete aspect of us that's constantly evolving, and it's linked to source, and it's linked to a divine light, and it is a spark within us that people meet when they meet us. And it's us at our rawest. And sometimes we only speak of people when they're dead, and we say he was a lovely old soul, or she was a lovely soul. But in saying that, people know what we're saying. So it's like there's a language there, and the soul doesn't speak English or Italian or French. It speaks vibration. It speaks within the frequency of vibration, and it emits from itself a vibration that is just tenable. You can feel it. So when people need to connect with their soul, in essence, it's the most natural thing in the world. And yet, when we live in a society that's constantly adorning the left brain, logic, fact, concrete evidence, we come to a state of being so disconnected from that aspect of ourselves that it can be hard to know, especially if you're beginning on the journey of awakening. It can be hard to know how to switch off the program that has been running, that it says the mind is the superpower. Now, the mind is wonderful. I've studied everything to do with the mind in order to help people with their soul. I've become a strategic interventionist, mindfulness. I had to look at the mind because it's a huge vehicle of us. But there's the silent part. There's this enormous, infinite, multi-leveled, multi-sensory aspect of ourselves that's connected to a universal consciousness that really can't be defined too easily, but can be felt. And I think Maya Angelou said, and I won't get the words right, but basically, people don't really necessarily remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And when we connect at a soul level with somebody in our raw essence, that's what they remember. That's the energy of us that's unique. It's the spirit of us that's unique, alive, and dancing within us, regardless of the circumstances. And it can be bruised but never broken.
Very, very beautifully said, Julianna. Lovely explanation, and resonates just so much with me. Resonated so much with me, and it's always look into the eyes, because that's where you see the true essence of somebody. And they say that the eyes are the gateway to the soul, and I truly believe that, because when we can look into somebody's eyes, we can see who they truly are, because the eyes don't lie.
It's so beautiful. And there's something I wanted to say, which you've just linked me into. For your listeners who may not be used to me and my work, I regularly have my eyes closed because I am a channel for source. And when I close my eyes, it's much easier for me to get a pure channel. So even though I sound normal, you can imagine Esther Hicks type of channeling through. I'm channeling in, but my voice doesn't change, so I don't sound like anybody else. I sound very normal, but the words are holding a vibration that allows, regardless of who you are or where you are in your path, it allows the vibration to find you where you are and opens the heart space. So you will regularly see me looking up, looking sideways, or with my eyes closed. I hope it's not off-putting for anyone, but I need to gift tonight as much as I can to every listener who's taken the time to choose to hear about their soul and to educate themselves and to hopefully link deeply with the soul.
And it's something that Rebecca does when she channels very much with her eyes closed. And Rebecca says that's because that way she's getting true information, and it's not coming through from her ego. So when she closes her eyes, she feels as if she's taken herself out and she's connected to what the messages are that are coming through. And I'm just so pleased that you've said that, because Rebecca just being new at what she's doing, and there'll be some other people that are new, and other people that watch that will wonder why people channel close their eyes and some leave them open. It's just the way that people do it. We all have different ways of doing it. And for those people that are out there starting their journey in their channeling or whatever that they're doing, that they know it's okay and it's safe to do that on no matter where you are or who you are. Everybody has a different way of doing it.
Do you know what I've watched recently is a lot of musicians, especially Irish musicians who are playing Céilí music, and many foreign musicians all around the world who are gifted. And when they are at one with their music, they're in trance. So when they're in their vibrational mode, and you did ask me a second part to that question, which I just want to align to as well, anything that allows us to feel the vibration of the universe connects us with our soul. So music connects us with our soul. Art transcends and brings us to a new state of being. Nature brings us to fifth dimensional being. It brings us into union. It is why every place in Australia and all around the world that has got beautiful nature reserves and incredible wonders of the world, these are places that are going to be lined with buses, because people are trying to get a glimpse of that vibrational hit of more, something more. Sexual union brings us into connection with the vibration of union and the vibration of source. Dance allows us to feel free and to get lost into the vibration. Words carry power. So people who are writing, people who are giving us an essence and an aspect of mirroring outwards from the soul what's in there, are giving us bite sizes of the majesty of the soul within.
Beautiful, because as you were saying that, it was coming to me, this is where we're moving forward into the new earth, the new dimensional vibration that the planet and all souls are moving into that 5D is music, is poetry. Everything that you just said there is just, and I'm getting goosebumps as I repeat this, that's a way that we should be living, is embracing all of that. And personally, for me, I'm really looking forward to moving more and more into that, where the busyness of everyday living will eventually fade away, and we'll move as a species and as humanity move more into a totally different vibration as to what is important for our soul's growth, not for our personality and all our personal belongings, but more for our soul's growth, and which will evolve us as a person on the planet to help all of humanity. But as we move through more and more into that, and we step into it, we're creating an amazing planet, just not for us to live on, but so many other generations.
And I think it's really interesting that we have all come down as a soul family at the moment, at this time in our lives. And I will say that because we've come down at a time where, yes, there's a lot of work to be done, but a lot of the manual work has been taken away by machine. So a lot of the time we are now getting a chance to educate ourselves and to focus on education. This is the first time that artists, during the Renaissance period, are actually getting to do their art for pleasure, to actually voice their own expression through pleasure. And yet we've lost an awful lot, because even in years gone by, people would have hummed and held vibration in the fields when the pain was torturous, when people were building the pyramids, they would have hummed their way through. They would have had a collective song, a collective dance at the end of the day, and they were very rooted in nature. Their food came from nature. Everything had a soul. Now I see the word soul used as a marketing ploy in so many things, and there's very little vibration to go with that beautiful word soul, that is souling to source and collective consciousness and unconditional love. And I hope that we can start to revere the soul, because the soul is our soul. It's us in our totality.
Yeah. So true. So having said that, I'm going to move to my next question for you. She says, so, there's a lot of people out there that say that we can't converse with archangels and everything like that. But you really do converse with them. I know, because I know your work. But what do you say to people? How do you, what's the word I'm looking for? People will come to you, but there'll be that want to converse with the archangels, but there's also a part of us in a way where we drop little crumbs to awaken others or make others aware that they can do that. Actually, I don't even know what I'm saying. It's something's got confused here. So I'm just going to go. Do you really converse with the angels?
Yes, I do. It's something I never thought I would do. I love that part of me now. I'm doing this for the last decade. And there was a part of me at the beginning, and I'm sure a lot of healers feel like this, that you're nearly embarrassed to say, I'm only conversing with them for 6 months. And people are like, oh, she's not real. But I actually love the fact that it did come in, say, in my first 30, 40 years of my life. It wasn't part of my life, and now it is my daily life. And I think that's great hope, because a lot of people think that you have to be born with this. The reality is the angels are always talking to us. They're there. If you watch any baby over a pram, it's looking at things and smiling at things that the rest of us possibly cannot see. Our dogs look up at things and converse and can see energy and can see movement and can see so many things. But for me, the angelic realm is there before any religion, before any time immemorial. The light has always been the vibration that is held in the universe. And for me, I call myself the soul illuminator, because their illuminations are not people. They choose to come to us in whatever way we want them. So if we need them to have a name, if we need them to have a color, if we need them to have a ray, if we need them to present in a certain format, that's what happens. But I find so many people saying, I don't know whether I converse with the angels because I don't see them. And I want to say to those people, you can feel them, you can know them, you can hear them, you can sense them. It's that loving support. It's that guiding hand. It's that sign that you can't denounce. It's that affirmation. It's that synchronicity. And that's that feeling, most importantly, of being touched by an angel. And for me, in the work I do, I've been writing with the angels for a long time. It's called scribing, where they're giving me downloads on the universe, on life, on and on people's soul purpose, which I'm sure we will get onto. And the beauty of it is they actually do sign off who's giving the message. And when it first started, it was all archangels, and I didn't even know that was cool, because most people would channel angels. Very few channel archangels on a regular basis, because you're up at ninth dimension, for those who enjoy looking at the dimensions and where the information is coming from. But for me now, the saints come in, deity come in, and there's times when I'm working with people, and I know it's just pure source energy that's coming through for them. I can feel it. It's like this power surge, or it's the Holy Spirit descending. If you've ever worked with the Holy Spirit, Sandra, it would blow you away. And people feel it. So again, it's feelings. It's not about, I meet so many people going, I don't want to open my Reiki business because I see purple, but I can't remember which angel goes with that. And maybe they think I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about you knowing that everything you are gifted at what's appropriate for the person receiving it, because you're a messenger of healing, a messenger of love, a messenger of light, a messenger of hope, of peace. So it's done for the receiver.
And I love that you put it that way, that it's basically take your head out, this is how it should look, or I need to remember this, or what we don't. And I was entrapped in that when I first started, because I had on my own journey had so many people around me that they said that they could see or they could hear or whatever, but I just knew, I had this knowing, and it was just like, it was so strong. And but what I found on my journey was that one of the greatest gifts we can have is the knowing. We don't have to see, we don't have to hear, we just know. And I share that with so many of my clients and people that I speak to, because they feel that they don't have a gift because they don't spiritually see or hear or whatever. But the greatest gift you can have is the knowing and the trust. And when you have that, so much can open up. And I had a reading by a beautiful soul a few years ago in Gympie, and she said to me, Sandra, you don't listen. They're telling me you don't listen. And I was a bit like, as we all get, what do you mean I don't listen? Of course I listen. And I went away from that, and I sat with that, and I thought, what does this actually mean? I do not listen. And it was that listening to me, spiritual listening, was being able to hear. But it's not actually, it's seeing, it's everything. And it's like, I could be asleep and I get a message or whatever, something pops into my head. It opened up a whole new world for me, and I went, oh my God, I get it now. I get that. And listen, what the message they were telling me was just not in hearing, well, how I expected to hear. There's many ways to hear. And yeah, which
they're diverse, and they're messers. Spirit and the angels are messers. I've been working with them for a decade. They are messers, and they will always catch you on the hop, and they'll give you something that you never expected, and they'll make you laugh, and they'll give you a feather when you never expected it, and they'll drop a penny from heaven when you most need it. And isn't it those moments that are synchronistic, where I like to see synchronicity as a series of events in which God chooses to remain anonymous.
Yeah. And it was just like, and I just went, so many things they told me that I should be doing. And I'm like, people had told me, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And it turns out it's exactly what I'm doing. And I look back on it and I'm like, oh, they did tell me that. I was in resistance.
This is a lot of my work, Sandra. I deal with people who are quite advanced on the path. That doesn't mean there's a ranking order, but they are people who tend to get messages for a lot of people themselves. They're well down the track. But there's one aspect of their life that they need to get a bit of clarity. Is this a hunch? Is this a sign? Is it their mind playing tricks because that's what they'd like to believe is the message? And it's something fundamental. They're about to spend 10 grand on their business. They're about to buy that particular building. They are choosing to turn their back on a child for a while because it just feels like it's toxic. They're about to walk out of a marriage. They're about to walk into a marriage. There's something that's come in that they just genuinely want somebody who knows nothing about them to check with source with no information. What is the story? Am I getting the story right? Am I imagining this? Is this all in my head? So they come to me and they say, Julianna, they either give me the question that they want me to ask source with no information, or they give me nothing. And I say to everyone, do you want me to free flow, or do you want to ask a specific question when I'm checking into the Akashic records, which we'll go into, I know, in a moment. And that's so powerful, because I have people cry when they go, oh my God, you affirmed what I knew, but now with certainty, I can move on. And then I spend so much of my life seeing those little seeds that were racking around in their head, forming, growing, and coming to life. And I go, oh my God, thank God I could provide that affirmation at a time you were doing your own head in.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
It does. It totally does, because when we get so tied up in our own head, and I quite often get clarification and go, and even though we know that we're on the right path, we're just not sure, and we just need that extra guidance, because we don't know whether we're going mad, whether it's our ego, or whether we just don't trust. And that when you can come out of that and get somebody, I like to go to people that I don't know, that don't know me very well, and I love that you said that, because friends and everything like that cannot give us what we need, because they know us too well, or we will not. I'm going to change that. We as a personality will sometimes not recognize and accept what they're actually giving us, because we think that they're biased, or because they know it too well. I find that with a lot of people that go to readers that are friends, and they'll say, oh no, that's because she knew me, or whatever. And it's really important that I like to go to somebody else, just to get people that don't know me.
There's a lady that I now know, but that I didn't know at the time, and she booked a reading with me. She was in California. She'd worked with Doreen Virtue for 10 years. She's a clinical psychologist. She does past life regression. She's amazing, right? She's absolutely a doll. And I wrote for her, and I knew nothing, but her name was Karen. That's what I knew. Her name's Karen. And I never look somebody up in advance. I just don't do it. The channel doesn't need it. And in the first line of her reading, it said, if the universe had a ship with your name on it, they would call it dignity. And she started to cry, and she said, I knew in the first line you knew me. And I said, why? She said, my whole life has been bringing dignity to people. And she said, I've spent the last 20 years in hospice work bringing dignity to the last chapter. And she said, I knew I could trust you, and I knew it wasn't coming from you. Because she said it was just razor in. It was like, you want proof, there you go. So usually when I channel for people, they do feel that touched by an angel, and they feel the purity of something that feels like a raw truth. And I don't understand it, and I never will.
So having that, there is really a soul contract and a soul story for each and every one of us.
Yeah.
Can you expand further on that?
Absolutely. So each of us come in here for a reason. Our soul comes down to evolve, and we're given, before we come on this earth, and this can be very difficult to get your head around sometimes, but it is true. We choose why we are coming on this great grand voyage. We choose what legacy of love we want to leave behind. We choose the pivotal characters that will help us to ensure that contract gets fulfilled, and that we live out our soul story. And the truth is, the soul always lives out its story. And this is what's amazing, that even if you feel today that you're on the wrong path, or they're doing it all sideways, or you must be because it's all gone pear-shaped on you and everybody else seems to have it going on, there's a reason your story is going the way it is. But sometimes tiny tweaks around the path can help you to just move back into a knowing of why it needs to be this route. And there can be a huge sense of acceptance on what's going on. So when I'm doing Akashic record readings, I am a master of the Akashics, and I'm gifted an access to the Book of Life, which I feel really privileged about. And it's like when somebody comes to me with a question or no question, it's like a page is taken from your Book of Life to help you to understand. Just say it's a marriage complication. I do an awful lot with relationships. Why is this happening? Are we destined to move on in this relationship? Are we destined to go the whole way? Or is this contract served? Was it only involved with the children? Is it time to part ways? What were the lessons both of us were trying to learn here? How are we helping each other with our own path? And it's mind-blowingly simple and beautiful and affirming and life-changing when we can get access to finding the meaning in the madness. And then we can start to really envelop into the imprint we came down with, the basics that were sown in as part of our seeds to bloom and grow. We can stand in our power in a very simple and yet gentle and loving way, because we've nothing to prove anymore, because we will recognize in this actually already enough. So they're powerful understandings of the contract, of the meaning, of how, like, if you take me, right, I'm flowy. I like to flow. If we're going somewhere like an airport, they always crack up if everything. If I've all the socks in and shoes in and tickets and everything, they go, "Mom, the plane's going to crash," and I go, "Yeah, probably will." So
I love that.
And for years, I have a husband who likes everything logical and factual and sorted and cleaned up and sorted out. And every time I go that route, I get completely confused. And for years, that made me feel stupid. It made me feel less. But actually, as a channel, I don't know what's coming up with anybody who comes to me for an hour. So if I needed to have all my ducks in a row to impress somebody and to have it all tickety-boo, I would fall flat every time and could not be a channel. So I have to have this personality that can flow, that can move, that can do a 360 in a second and can bounce around. It's needed for my calling. It's needed for me to be me and to keep people calm in the midst of the chaos. So knowing my contract now has helped me to own that part of me as not being frivolous, but as the only representation of the true me that would work for what I'm called to do on this earth. And yes, I get loads of things right and I can structure things and I can use my left brain, but the flowing aspect of me will probably have more impact in people's lives, if that makes any sense.
It certainly does, Julianna, because I don't like structure. I like flow. But what I've found is I need to embrace both sides of that. But when I'm planning for my business, I'm planning. But when I'm in it and working, I'm flowing. It's just like, yep, like today we've got some questions and that, but it's more about let's just flow with it, see where the conversation goes. Because if it's structured, I'm not being me. And my guest,
magic.
you do miss the magic. And it's like going with being able to flow. Like we had trouble at the start, and I'm just like, okay, because a lot of the times I just say, okay, we'll book it for another day. And today I just thought, no, just jump on live, Sandra, start the show, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I just flowed with it. Next minute, up you pop.
Thank you for all the patience.
Yeah,
and thank you to my daughter.
That's about being able to flow, to be that calmness in the storm, and not getting too over thinking it's me, because you have to keep the other person calm, and to be able to have that ability like you do when you're reading and be that calmness in that eye of the storm helps those around you. And a lot of people get so tied up with they don't like flow, and it's like a river only goes one way. It just goes one way. It just flows. And it might say might have the same sound the whole time it's on the planet, but it's just flowing. You don't swim upriver. And that's where I find that when I'm trying to structure something, if it's for a live or whether it's for, no matter what I do, I find that it just goes to shit.
Yeah, that's why the kids go, "Mom, please, we could be going down the road," and I say, "Oh my God, I forgot something." They go, "Oh great, we're fine now." It's screwed up, it's all fine, and it's small.
And when we go with the flow, we let go of the control. And that's
we do, and we don't have anxiety, because anxiety comes in when we're going completely against our own grain, when we're not nurturing our true nature. But if we don't understand, the Akashics gives us a real understanding of who the hell we are, so that we can nurture that nature. I remember having him. He was an international rugby player in one day, and he was a big burly guy, and everything had gone to pot. He got fat, and he spent too much money, and he had no money left, and he was really confused about how he used to be really cool and now he didn't know who he was. And I remember he had a suit on when he came in to me, and he cut the letter, because I write everybody a letter. That's how the Akashics come down for me. I write the letter in advance to people, and then I send it to them, and then we go through the letter on Zoom. So it's a really comprehensive reading. It's a once in a lifetime experience that really, really fulfills. At least that's what I'm told. I'm a passenger, but he cut the letter, and he neatly put it in 3 sections, and he put it in his breast pocket, and he said, "Now, I have a little Bible," he said, "for the rest of my life." He says, "What I'll need will always be in there." And that's what people say to me, "I still have your letter. It's very battered, Juliana. I better come back for another one." Or it's, "Juliana, I read and reread that, and it never but brings a tear to my eye. It always guides me." Because the words, I'm a scribe, so when I'm going in to get the reading for somebody, I'm taking the download in advance. So say it's your soul, I'm taking the download of what source is trying to say to you, what your soul is trying to get you to listen to. And you were talking about hearing. When you come to me and the letter is written, it's in black and white. so the words are there, but all of them are encoded, because anything that really comes from source is encoded. It's held sacred. So when somebody comes to me, it is my role to decode that message in a way that they understand. Every word holds a vibration. Some letters come out poetic, some are very, very simple, and they follow the type of nature of a person. So I remember writing for Down syndrome. She was 14, and this gorgeous poem came down, and she looked at me and she said to me, "I know what to do now." And I heard her mom talk on TV about 10 years ago. She was towards the beginning of my own journey, and she said, "We now know Lauren is the biggest teacher in the house." And I thought, oh my God, ye all learned that day. Ye all learned that Lauren was there to teach every one of you, and she got a new place in the house. The simplicity at which the language is given, and yet the beauty of the language. It's a bit like John O'Donoghue type of writing a lot of the time, and each note, it's like a musical note. I don't know, it holds a vibration, and it's laced in love. The words are laced in love. So there's nothing threatening about you having your Akashic record read. In fact, to be honest, I can't understand why everybody wouldn't want to know what source got to say to me, where's my blueprint, and what am I supposed to be doing? Because it takes a lot of the guesswork out, and it really empowers you to love yourself just as you were made. And it's gorgeous, and I just feel really privileged to hold that sacred space for people to embrace who they truly are in a really, really meaningful way, that they can build and grow, and so they can leave a legacy of love that makes sense to them, that's aligned to who they are, and takes the guesswork out, and allows the illuminations, the saints, the wise ones, ascended masters, people who have gone before them. Sometimes mammies come through in letters, sometimes daddies come through in letters, sometimes children come through in letters, sometimes your best friend does. Whoever is best to gift that message to you will find a way, with your soul of speaking to you, to bring out the fullest aspect of you in your entirety, just as you were intended to be. Just like the sunflower grows up and greets each other, each sunflower it meets by bopping heads. We're all interconnected, we're all interwoven. We all have a little job to do down here. And a lot of it's in being who we truly are. Because I do believe that it is in the being that we end up doing and being all we were ever meant to be or do.
Beautiful. And I'm so pleased that you touched on the subject of it comes with love, because a lot of people believe, because we're so, if you read into the records or read into this, what did I do wrong? What have I done wrong? What are they telling me that I'm doing wrong? We're programmed in this dimension
Yes.
that we live in, and that's not what they tell us. It's not what they tell us to us. Like, I got the message, I don't listen, but it wasn't in a condescending way. It was to make me think. So, most of the time it's like you said, it's in love. And when what we're here to do when we read our Akashic records, we can't but learn to love ourselves, because we see we feel that vibration in those words. And you're absolutely correct, because the words bounce off the page with vibration, whether we speak them or we say them. And the universe only ever speaks with love. They only ever come through with love.
So if you ever get a reading from anybody that brings up fear, brings up something that throws you a mile, that's not the vibration of heaven. That's not coming from a space that knows how to speak to you. There are sometimes great changes that can come in our lives, but Source has a way of saying it to us that is guiding, that is supportive, that is mothering, and that is affirming. And that is what we need to expect in an angelic conference with Source and your soul, which the Akashic records are.
So, Julianna, can you explain to those, like, I know what the Akashic records are, but what actually, other than in this lifetime, what's in there, but what does it do? If people want to know, where are they held? Where are Akashic records are held?
We spoke about so we live in 3D, third dimension, and there's a lot of talk about the ascension process and fifth dimension. So when we're in fifth dimension, we've moved into a complete union with the soul and more, that feeling of more, and we're coming into connection. When we moved into sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth dimension, we're moving up into spaces and into places which aren't defined. When we move to the Akashic records, they're held for me in the 10th dimension, and the 12th dimension being complete Source. And they're held in a temple, basically, for me. It's like the Temple of Poseidon. And it's like a huge library, a vault. And in there, each person has a book of life. And that holds every record of that person right through the ages. And your guardian angel is the same guardian angel that goes with you on all the adventures. So it knows you very well, right? It knows exactly what you're up to. So everything that has been fundamental about the blueprint of what you will live each and every time, and basically a reflection of what your remembrance was when you went back over the divide and into the next life. The regrets you may have had, the reflections you may have had, the things that you feel that you would probably reflect on differently and live differently in a next lifetime are maintained in that book of life. So it contains every thought, vibration, experience, and knowing you've ever had is held within your book of life. It's called the Book of Knowledge. And the word Akashic comes from Sanskrit, and it means the ethers or the sky. So the information literally comes down from the sky, but it's not that linear. It's hard to explain that it's not that linear. I taught Akashic Records at the beginning of COVID to over 50 people in a masterclass, and I was a bit scared because I thought I'd need to be with them. Every single one of them for 21 days got straight into the Akashic Records with the most mind-blowing experiences and understandings. It was amazing. So we all have the ability to actually go into the Akashic Records. We all have the ability to access Akashic Records. We all have the ability to actually find our own knowledge. And this is not just me who can go in there. This is something that Source is trying to bring you to. But it's actually having trust of the information that you're getting, and trust of the contract and understanding the contract. And I suppose coming to someone like me, it's a bit like going to the solicitor. Yeah, you've got a copy of the contract, but you understand it. And it's not like you come and you get like the date and this is exactly the contract. You get the parts of it because it's so vast that are of relevance emotionally, spiritually, physically at this moment in time. So it's a record that's held for me as a human being. The two that I trust as the keepers for me of that knowledge are Archangel Metatron, who is also known as Enoch the Scribe, who actually writes down all the purposes of our lives when we are down on earth. He is said to be the nearest to God. And then I also trust Mother Mary, who is the other one. And for me, that may not be your allegiance, and I don't need anybody to believe in God to come to me. I don't need anyone to believe in an angel. I don't need them to believe in Mother Mary. I'm multi-denominational. I don't come needing you to believe in X, Y, and Z, because your Akashic will come to you in whatever format is right for you. So it would speak to you about nature if your allegiance to Source is believing in nature, or it'll speak to you in energy if that's your allegiance. It'll speak to you in angels if that's your allegiance. But for me, as a holder in truth of these, I need to believe and to trust the holders for me of that information. So Archangel Metatron and Mother Mary are my two pillars of trust, that when I'm going in there, what's coming down is light, is love, and is trustworthy and truth. And then I have to get the hell out of the way, because a lot of the time I have no idea what's in the letter. I'm like a pianist, just typing away, correcting edits of all descriptions, because you're in subconscious and going into conscious trying to type. So it can be great fun. But there is a message. There is a reason. And if anyone's feeling a bit hopeless listening, there's a reason for your life. And it's really important that you take back the power in your life to live the purpose you came here for, and to spread your love and your joy and your laughter and your hope deeply and sincerely. And when we do, there's a peace that descends upon us that allows us to not worry too much about tomorrow, because the now is the appreciation of all we have. And what is important is that when we're on our final breath, whenever that is, or we're reflecting from the Temple of Remembrance, that we look at our life and say, I was the star in my own story. I didn't just roll up in the credit of somebody else's story. So yeah, there will be moments when people come to me and say, I can't live, he won't get up off the chair, he just wants to watch the telly and he'll do nothing, and I have all these plans and he won't come with me. And sometimes you have to say, this is your life. What are you doing rolling up in the credits of someone else's? It's time to live. It's time to love. And it's time to matter. And please honor yourself by honoring the life you have been given and the miracle of this multidimensional consciousness of the universe that is pouring through you, that is here for you, and that offers you breath every day to have moments of expanded awareness, consciousness, to connect, to learn, to grow, and to have the wonder and awe of childhood.
Beautiful. And Julianna, I'm pleased that for you to have Mother Mary, the Divine Mother, and who sits up there close to the Creator, and then to have Enoch, who my understanding, and I could be wrong because it's only what I've read and heard, but I also feel he only ever had one life on earth, and whatever he did, he went straight up and he sat next to the Creator. And the keys of Enoch have been, I think there's 72 keys of Enoch. I have the book. It could be 75, 77. I'm not quite sure.
I've never read that book. It sounds lovely. I'd love to read. You must send me the title. It sounds great.
That's what it's called, the Keys of Enoch.
Okay.
And it's not a book that you start at the beginning and you go to the end. It's because it's too heavy. You just open it up and you read whatever, and they're like codes and everything that sit in there. And a lot of our work have sat on. So it's obviously something that I need to talk to share with you. A lot of our codes, our sprays, and everything have been infused with the keys of Enoch. And Metatron also owns very much, when I've connected with him, a sapphire temple.
Oh, beautiful.
And you can go in there and you can connect with Metatron in that sapphire temple. And there, I've worked with Metatron a lot. I haven't worked with him for a while, and probably in the last couple of years, because I've moved away from working with archangels and that into a whole nother realm. But he's always there. He's always in our work. And the keys of Enoch are the 72 fire codes, or 72 codes that were channeled through J.J. Hurtek. I think he channeled them. And I think I've got it here just behind me. I'll show you.
Wow, Sandra, this is so lovely. Thank you. This is where we all share.
This is it.
This is it. Love it.
So you just open it up and it tells you, it's like these are all different. See the key.
When the message is channeled, it's hitting each person in a different way, and it speaks differently to you every time you read it. So each time you read a channeled message, it finds you where you are, and it moves you to an expanded level of consciousness. It's really funny you say that. I launched this book in 2020 called The Soul Lens, and somebody laughed and they said, Julianna, were you saying 2020 vision? And I said, yeah, probably. But what it was a whole load of channeled messages, like how to create the life you want, finding balance in your life, nature, your spiritual teacher, finding hope. A little did I know we'd need it so much. But what people have said to me, which is really interesting, is they're using it like an oracle. So each time they flick it open in the mornings, usually beside their locker, and they go, there's something on their mind or they're worried about something, and they flick it, and it has peace. So they don't need to read it all, just like you're saying, it could be heavy. When they get the little piece that they need and the message is in it. So it's like the keys, it's all encoded.
Yes.
It's all encoded. And the codes are only released in bite sizes, because within our human minds there's an inordinate capacity to hold information, but then there's processing, and we need our soul to process, and a lot of the time the mind cannot conceive what the soul knows, so there's nearly a delay. So we need bite sizes, and we need to be able to interpret them. And when we do, it just brings peace.
It does, and I've had this book since 2009.
Wow.
And YHWH is just another name for the creator, and it was out of this book that I had tattooed. I've got a tattoo of "I am that I am," but it's in Hebrew. That I took that out of the Keys of Enoch, and I had it tattooed because we are that we are. So and sort of like people. It's in a place where only I can see it. It's not on my bum or anything like that, but I can wear clothes because it's mine. It's a personal tattoo to myself, to remind me and to hold that vibration within that I am that I am. And it's a remembrance when I go off that path to come back, because I see it when I have a shower and stuff like that. It's just like little tick. I've had a bad day. Bring it, come back to self. So it's a really, really interesting book, very, very heavy book. But yeah, obviously,
I think I'd love it.
Obviously, I was meant to show you today because I've never brought that book out. It's just something that has sat on my shelf, and I read it. And I put it under my bed, under my pillow. I slept with it for 3 months because I'm like, it's too heavy to take in. Can you just absorb it into me? I put it under my pillow.
We can do that. Like, our soul has so much remembrance, you see. And just for your listeners, anytime you buy a book and you think, oh my God, I didn't read that book. That was $12.99 or $39.99, and I'm an awful waster of money. And why didn't I read the book? You may only read the back cover, the middle page, one chapter. That's all your soul needed. It's amazing. If we knew the precision at which we're actually operating, we would give ourselves so much credence for who we are and what we're about. And I suppose when I'm soul mentoring with people on an ongoing basis and they're coming to me with their bits and bobs and saying, I had a dream about this, can you decode it? I had this thing happen. Am I reading that correctly? What am I not seeing? We can really work with Source to move mountains, to bring bite sizes down to things that feel colossally big. And we can nugget them down into kind of little portions with a lot of humor that people can work on. So I do a lot of ongoing mentoring with people. It wasn't what I intended to do, but it's they come back and they go, I really, really want to work on this. I don't want this going on any longer, or I'm scared and I know I need someone to hold my hand for a little while. And I'm like, that's okay. We have a whole upstairs crew to hold your hand. Just tune in with us. Just ask and you shall receive. And God, I just feel so privileged. I really do.
There's one, and we've gone over time, but there's something I really, really want to ask you. Is the gift of past life regression?
Okay.
Um,
Huge, yeah. Where is your question coming from, so I can answer it as accurately?
In nurturing your true nature.
Okay. Most of the time, we don't need to look at our past lives. We can go on an ego trip and realize that we were, I don't know, the captain of the ship, or that we were the inventor of something, or that we were the medicine woman in the teepee in India, or whatever. To me, practical me, what do I need to know any of that for? Where it comes into play is when there's a crazy fear coming into your life that you cannot make sense of, that's doing your head in. I had one for a good few years where I kept thinking I was going to fall down the stairs. And it got really bad, and I'd have to get the kids to bring down the washing. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I haven't fallen in this lifetime since I was 7. What the heck? And there was a whole layering of many, many lifetimes that I had to look at. I went to Glastonbury. I struggled coming down the steps of Glastonbury, and the girls brought me down, and I had a lot of past lives where there hadn't been support of the women. And this was all removed as I cried all the way down, and they brought me down, and I'll never forget their love and the support and knowing I wasn't on my own. So it went with that, if that makes sense to you. So during the time, I had to look deeply into the Akashics of when had I been pushed, who had pushed me, What were the circumstances around that? And I always say to people, if you're going for past life regression, be careful that someone doesn't leave you stuck in the energy, that they're actually got the ability to bring you into that past life and bring you out of that past life positively. Because a lot of the time, the emotions that are being stuck are stuck there because of events that happened. As a pet hate of mine, I hate people who go, you see, Juliana, do you know I was burnt as a witch in a past life? And I'm thinking, have we nothing more creative? How come we all got burnt as a witch? Out of all the things that could happen to you, how do you all get burnt as a witch? But that may be just me laughing inside.
No, I'm hearing you, girlfriend. I'm hearing you.
Yeah. But there are many things that you don't have to be burnt as a witch, but that you have some way really had an issue. I'm working on with a woman at the moment, and the whole thing of beheaded when we went into her past life was massive. And she has this incredible temple understanding that she has from this lifetime and past lifetimes. When I regress her, the information that's flowing through is firsthand, is incredibly powerful. We're trying to work along her fear of bringing that out again, because she was beheaded before, and she genuinely was. We brought her in. She came up with the information. So when somebody has something going on that makes no sense, it's very valuable. If a child is brought into the world with a huge birthmark, sometimes people want to know, why is that birthmark there? There's something about that, or that my child may choose to know. There can be massive abandonment issues, and you could have had the best parents in the world, but actually the abandonment is coming in from another life. You could have a wonderful relationship with your dad, and all of a sudden it switches, and you're wondering, why am I feeling this uncomfortable energy coming through? And it's actually that the past life is starting to build up again, that the two of you actually played out different roles in a past life, and it's only now coming up. Anyone who's listening to this who recognizes this will recognize, there's my answer. That's my portal to bring me to the other side of this. And for other people, it won't be of relevance. You'll know if this is the work that your soul is calling in. And when we do that work, it's phenomenal. The tears of joy can flow, the tears of sadness can flow, but whatever the emotional block is goes. And I believe that the soul doesn't have a particular part in our body. But if it did have a particular part in our body, it would be sort of where the ribbon is on your bra, just that little place. And we have the imprint of the Visicus Piscis on us, which is that fish bladder that's associated with, Glastonbury and the Catholic Church and that. And when I bring in somebody's soul alignment back in, what actually happens is the high heart aligns with the solar plexus in a way that merges, and someone feels whole again. They know it. I don't need to know it. They know that feeling of, it's all okay now. I can move on. And thank God I didn't have to carry that for one more minute, because that was too heavy for me.
Beautiful. I love it that I used to do past life regression. That's why I wanted to ask you, and I've had past life regression done. You totally aligned with my belief around past life. It's not about who was I, what it is to heal. It's to find out and to go back, like you did with abandonment or different issues that keep playing out in your life. And when you do that, you can actually, you just feel the relief of it, and you can understand it, and it does just go. I don't do that work anymore, but it's for those that do it, and that need it, and the freedom that you get. Find yourself a really good past life regressionist. And Julianna, do you do this over? Do you have to be in person, or can people do this with you over Skype?
One of my very first readings was online. Would you believe that? One of my very first readings was to America. I thought it was so funny that I could be in my office and they could be in California, and that it was like we were together. So that has been the gift way before COVID that was given to me. I do not need to be with somebody, because I'm reading from the soul. So when you're reading from the soul, You don't even need the person present. The letter is written in advance. We can, and the regression is done with you on Zoom, and the energy speaks, and the upstairs crew are doing the work. I'm the intermediary.
So where can people find you? And you've got a loyalty. They can book an Akashic reading on your website. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, At the moment, you have a choice. You can book one that just concentrates on your soul purpose. So it's the classic, or you can book a conscious relationship, because I am aware that some people come and the biggest burning question in their mind is, can you help me to understand? Should I stay or should I go?
Yep.
Or is there love coming my way? So if that's what you need, that's what you need. If not, it's just a classic, and just let them free flow. But I want to give a discount to all of your people who've sat and listened to us, and thank you. I want to give a 20% discount, because the Akashic records, that this experience is a gift of a lifetime. I want to make sure everybody can give that to themselves in a real and meaningful way.
And there's never been a more important time than right now, actually, while we're going through COVID, to connect. I feel to connect in with our Akashic records, to connect truly in with our soul, and to know where we're moving through as an individual, as a soul, moving forward on this beautiful rocky road that we call life at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's making, finding that meaning in the madness, and it's also the fact that what you were doing before COVID may not be what you're doing now, and the switching and changing. Sometimes people genuinely need a little bit of clarity about what's going on for me, and am I really being my authentic self here? And could this be a blessing in disguise? But I can't see the disguise. I can't see through it. It just feels like pain. So yeah, as a global collective, we are on a massive soul search, the biggest one I think we've ever gone through as a nation. And I do thank technology, as much as it kills me, for being able to be here as a global community.
And that's global, because we are global, and we're all, no matter where we are, we're all connected.
Cosmic, yeah, really, but an intergalactic. But at the level we're here tonight, we are one big soul family, and it would be a lovely moment, Sandra, if we could just take 1 second just to hold our hearts for a tick and send healing out to whoever needs this tonight. That everyone who believes in an upstairs crew of any description that can connect and use this global community of light workers to send into the hearts and into the minds, into the families and into the homes, some hope, some peace, some inspiration and some love, in a way people can feel, trust and know. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining me tonight, Julianna Jay. And I look forward to chatting with you again, maybe on another platform. But thank you to all the viewers that listened. I will put Julianna's information and her offerings in the link above, and connect with Julianna. Pop over to her webpage. She does all sorts of amazing things. Very beautiful, gentle soul that will hold you and cradle you in absolute total love in when you're working with her. And if you haven't felt that as she's been speaking tonight, come back and listen again, because you haven't connected in properly. So thank you for your time and your wise knowledge, Julianna.
Not at all, not at all. You're welcome, Sandra. It's been lovely to be here. Namaste to you all, and I leave you in love and light.